Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Transaction Care. My name is Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lily. And we are live. We are officially live here on YouTube as well as Zoom. So if you are in the chat, go ahead and say hello. If you are watching the replay, which will be exclusively available to my TC Ready community. So if you want to join my community, just visit transactioncare.com to learn more there. But until then, let's get started. So I want to start doing more live streams, make myself more available to you all. Like I said, if you want the replay, you do have to join my TC community. But for now, if you do have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat or simply message me directly and we'll get started from there. So, a couple of announcements. The Keys podcast is back. Yes, originally called the Transaction Care Podcast, but I changed the name to something a little bit more shorter, direct, and still related to real estate, but not quite as literal. Like it could be the keys to life, it could be the keys to your house, it could be the keys to piano keys, keychains, whatever. But the most important part of the Keys podcast is the fact that I just want to give you all the keys that have helped me along my journey to be what I deem as successful in real estate, being self-employed, and just living my overall life through building confidence, learning how to accept and take rejection, as well as celebrating my wins, which I've come a long way from my very beginning journey almost 8 years ago when I first quit my 9 to 5 to pursue being self-employed. I didn't have any intention of, I just realized I was in the background. I didn't have any intention of staying in real estate. It's just been this force field in my life that keeps finding me, and I'm just no longer resisting, and I'm just going to surrender to the fact that if I'm meant to stay in the real estate industry, but in different capacities or different sectors, then I will. I also want to announce that coaching services are ready and available. You have many options, but I want to focus more so on my 6-week training. If you are ready to learn to TC, you can visit learntotc.com to sign up for my 6-week program. If you have any questions, simply just message me and you can schedule a discovery call that way. Because if you are going to commit, why not do it the right way? So I want to offer my 6-week services. We'll go over some fundamentals, marketing, mindset, transactions, and just the ins and outs and ways to pursue a career in real estate, specifically as a real estate transaction coordinator. And if you're on the other side of that, you're just in the middle of a career pivot or you're considering a career pivot, we can discuss that as well and customize a 6-week program to your liking. So in 6 weeks or maybe even less, you may be starting a new career. It doesn't even have to be in real estate. But what I'm saying is, if you're in a place in your life where you're ready for change, you're ready for more that is fulfilling and in alignment with you, then let's just get on a quick call. Schedule a discovery call. Get them while they last and while they're free because they're filling up very quickly. I put a lot more availabilities this month, but next month will be a lot more scarce. So definitely act on them quickly because they do fill up very rapidly. So let's get into this week's Q&A. I definitely want to start with letting you all know that if you do have questions, simply send me a DM. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, here on YouTube. If you're in the chat, you can drop a comment on the chat. I'm actually going to put a chat in the YouTube right now. Ask your questions here. And hello. But one question I get asked the most, and I know I've answered them in these previous lives before, but I want to keep reiterating them, is how to become a transaction coordinator. Now, becoming a transaction coordinator is one aspect, right? You want to get any credentials or education that's out there and available to you and or coaching. Then you want to start applying what you learn and reach out to your network, start building a network. Think about who you know in real estate that you can contact. oh, my realtor that I bought my home from, or my cousin is a realtor, my aunt and her uncle are realtors. Reach out to them. And if that feels big and scary, write down what you're feeling in those moments and identify what you're feeling. Because if you are too afraid, that fear might debilitate you and prevent you from doing anything and making any progress. Believe me, I've been there. And even with all the tools and resources, I still catch myself stopping in my tracks because I'm afraid or nervous. But I have more tools and resources. I know if I'm feeling stuck in a certain with a certain project or an idea, I'll go to my journal. If I'm feeling overwhelmed with money or lack of it, I'll start praying. Or if I need counsel on something, I'll schedule a session with my coach. So there's different avenues that I can take in order to break through that, you know, flight or flight, functional freeze state in life because I've spent too many years wasting time because I was afraid. And I'm going to talk about this in the next episode of the Keys podcast about how ultimately like fear is it's debilitating and it can be very detrimental to our lives. And if we don't acknowledge the fear first, because overcoming the fear takes practice. Trusting yourself takes practice. I've mentioned this previously, but you have to get in your reps, repetition. Repetition is key, right? And not only is repetition key, but it's a matter of figuring out what is the alternative? Why am I so afraid? Why am I so stuck? And then maybe taking some time to sit with that and then create solutions. And if you're like, well, I don't know what the solutions are. I don't know what the solutions are. Well, think of just think of the opposite. You know, I realized a few months ago, a little bit before my birthday, how usually my immediate thought when I get a new idea is excitement. Yes, I'm going to become a streamer. Let's just say that's the example, right? I'm going to become a streamer that talks about real estate, business, and mindset. Yes, I'm going to do it every single day. I'm going to do a subathon like Kai Cenat and, AMP and do all that. I'm just going to build my audience. I get so hype. I get so excited. Oh, and then I'm going to build my community. Then I'm going to monetize it and I'm going to work with all these brands, right? And then it comes time to execute. And all of a sudden, I start to sit back in my chair. Things get a little too real. Things get a little bit too real. They get too real, and I don't have a plan. I don't know what my next step towards doing that because all I see is the finish line. So now, in between my idea and the finish line is this big mess, this big jumble of, well, what do I do? It's overwhelm, it's fear, it's shame, it's disappointment, it's disorganization. It's all these things that live in there. And my default setting is what I realized was to harbor and dwell in the negative, in the I can'ts, to dwell and get stuck in the I don't knows, right? Instead of saying, okay, well, Google, what does a live streamer do? What is the best way to grow a live streaming business? Sign up for a streaming app, right? So have I done that? Yes, I've done that. Okay, go live. And if I'm stuck at, well, how do I go live? Google, how do I go live? You search it. Like it's those incremental steps that add up to bigger steps of getting it done. And I've learned for those that want to become transaction coordinators, I can give you all the steps. I can say, okay, pick 5 people, strangers, people you know, people you're close with. It could be a mix or it could be five of all of one category, but you have to reach out to them. What are you going to do? Like right now, in this moment, as you're watching this or listening to this replay, when I say that, what happens to you physically, emotionally, mentally? What are you telling yourself? Are you excited? Are you eager? Do you know exactly who you're going to contact? And as soon as did you stop this recording and go do it? Are you going to schedule it into your life? Like you don't have to drop everything you're doing right now because you want to start making it a lifestyle. But it is important while you have that fire burning in you, that momentum, that excitement to act on that. So if you're not ready in this second and you need 24 hours, then 24 hours at exactly 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to call 5 people. I'm going to DM 5 people. I'm going to email 5 people that I'm simply considering a job as a transaction coordinator. I've launched my business as a transaction coordinator. I started taking courses to be a transaction coordinator. You may not get the business right away, but the whole purpose of that is to practice, to get your repetition in, to get your reps in, to start getting comfortable with that motion versus thinking you have to go 0 to 100. When it's like, no, we could go 0 to 1 and 1 to 2, maybe 2 to 5, and then 5 to 6. You get the idea. There's no need to rush this process, but there is an urgency to start the process because it's your timeline, it's your life, it's your livelihood, no one else's. No one is forcing you to be a transaction coordinator. No one is forcing you to quit your job. No one is forcing you to do anything. But the accountability has to come from you. I spent months, weeks over the last few years, especially last year, what felt like I was, doing nothing. I felt like I wasn't working hard enough and I just didn't know what steps to take because I didn't know what direction I was going in my life. And I knew I always wanted to do coaching. I knew I always wanted to continue, bring back the podcast. I love and enjoy creating content, going live, and going back to coaching. I realized I have a deep love and connection to coaching, but I was so tied up in the fact that how am I going to monetize this? I needed to replace my income today that I did nothing. Or my progress was so slow and drawn out that I found myself avoiding. I found myself self-sabotaging. I found myself forgetting that that was even my goal. So I had to start resetting myself, like factory reset, right? Upgrade my system and realize, okay, the things I was doing yesterday, meaning in the last 30 to 60, 90 days, if I want to get out of that for the next 30, 60, 90 days, I need to start working towards making steps in a different direction as I phase out this part of my business, or at least decrease the amount I'm doing it decrease the amount of time and energy I put into pursuing it. So if you're becoming a transaction coordinator and your first step is to say, yes, I'm ready to do this, and you're serious about it, then, like I said, think about all the people you know in real estate. And if I'm the only person you know in real estate at this moment in time, reach out to me as soon as possible. But if you know somebody, just start up a conversation with them. And if they hire you on the spot, isn't that the goal? If someone is willing to hire you on the spot with no experience, no education, talk about trust. So now it's a matter of, do you trust you? And if they're willing to teach you and train you, you just inherited more than anyone on pursuing this career could ever imagine. Will it be difficult? Yeah, it's going to be difficult even if you have all the tools. That's a part of this process. That is the junk. They always say trust the process. And in actuality, it's like, do we even know the process? No, because it's all based on faith. I'm just going into the unknown. I have an idea of what I want to do. I have a vision of what I want to do. I have a goal. I see the finish line, but everything in between. We can't control if there's going to be traffic out of nowhere or if the weather decides to change. You either pivot, pause, or pursue it. Oh, that's good. Pivot, pause, or pursue it. Let me write that down. Pivot, pause, or pursue it. Sometimes I shock myself when I'm talking. I'm just speaking from the heart right now. I don't have any questions in the chat at the moment, and that's okay. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop them. If you're curious or want me to elaborate about something I'm saying, go ahead and let me know. But ultimately, the point is to start. And when I say start, I mean simple introductions. Simple. Everyone talks about, oh, I want to be a content creator. Oh, I want to quit my job and be self-employed. That's great. So start. And I think people get start confused with get paid. Don't confuse starting with getting paid because there there can be a gap between your first moment, your first paycheck being self-employed. I've been pursuing coaching for two whole years. Not consistently, not as disciplined as I could be because I was devoting so much of my energy into transaction coordination. But I would do discovery calls here and there. Some people would sign up and purchase, 1 hour sessions, 90-minute sessions. And at the time, that was good enough for me. But fast forward to today, where I'm at in this process of developing and growing my coaching business, I had to remove something. It's called the opportunity cost. Like, what is the opportunity cost if I am pursuing coaching? If I don't have time in my schedule, what has to give either temporarily or permanently in order for this to work? And in full transparency, it came down to me realizing I had to cut out some of my clients, whether I was working with them frequently or not, in order to free up my time. And if that meant a pay cut, then so be it, because I need to trust that I'm going to do this and that the money is eventually going to find me. But if I don't do the steps in between, the process, the junk, you know, to eventually get paid, I won't get there because you have to do the thing to get to the thing. And I've learned that the more I put out there, the quicker I get to the next client, the more I can help other people. If I told you, I I heard this from another business person. I don't remember who, I wish I did, but it popped in my head today while I was eating my lunch before this live stream. And they were coaching, I believe they were coaching someone on live stream. And they said, well, how many calls have you made? And they were like, 20. And how many sales did you make? And they're like, zero. And they're like, okay, well, when was the last time you got a sale? They were like, I don't know, 2, 3 months ago. How many calls did you make at that time? He was like, 50. And he was like, so after 50 calls and 50 no's, the 51st person was your yes. And they were like, yeah, ugh, what a drag, right? And then the person coaching was like, if I told you you only had to make 50 calls to get to your big payout, would you do it? Hell yeah. And then the person getting coached just sat there like, oh my, like a light bulb just went off. And they realized I've been looking at this all wrong. Like 50 felt like Mount Everest, when in actuality, it's just a little hill. Like we all want solutions, we all want answers. So if I told you, call 20 people, get 20 no's, but on that 21st call, you're going to get a yes, would you do it? You'd say yes. But if I told you, go make 20 calls, no guarantee that the 21st will be done, but you got to go do it. Would you do it? You might have some resistance. You might have some part of you that's like, ah, I'll do it later. But if I told you, you have to call those 20 people first, and then I'll give you your first client, you would do it easily. You'd probably do it. You'd probably end this live right now and go do it. or you probably do it while you're watching me on live. You know what I mean? So take that into consideration as you're building your confidence to pursue a new career, be it transaction coordination, realtor, or notary, content creator, coach. There's so many different avenues of careers that we can take. I only speak from what I know, and I only coach from what I know. But I do know it requires action, little steps. They add up. I used to think that, oh, if I can't make a lump sum payment, or if I can't, if I can't make big moves, I'm not going to make any moves at all. And that hurt me to my core when I realized I was making no progress when in the last 6 months I could have just making incremental progress. So it's like, oh, I'm not going to, let's just say you have $1,000 debt and you want to pay it off in 6 months. So 6 months goes by and you haven't made a single payment and you haven't saved as much as you had anticipated because life got hard. So you didn't save anything. But if I had planned for making a $5 payment for the next 6 months or a $20 payment every 6 months, I would have gotten much further in 6 months than zero because I was living off of a whim. I was going off of this big idea, like, oh, I'll take care of it in 6 months. When it's like you could take care of it now in 6 seconds and make that $5 deposit or make that $20 deposit. It's enough because it's not about the payment, it's about the momentum. It's about building the comfort, getting your repetition, getting your reps in, practicing. I played sports up until I was 30, organized sports, and I was naturally good at every sport I played. But there's a cap even on your natural skills, talents, and abilities that you hit. You hit a plateau. And after a while, it's like, dang, I don't know how to hit a curveball or I don't know how to shoot three-pointers, but I'm great at dribbling. I'm great at passing. But how do I defend, on the net? That's when the real work starts to kick in. That's where the skills start to develop and grow. But it didn't happen all on day one of practice or even after my first game. So try different ways to incentivize yourself to break up the bigger project in order to get to where you need to go. And if you need help with that, reach out to me. I'm here to help. You can schedule a discovery call, a quick 20-minute general Q&A, much like this live stream, and we can get to the root of what you're dealing with and create an action plan for today. And if you want to explore services beyond a discovery call with myself, that is available as well. Visit transactioncare.com to learn more. Join my newsletter, listen to the podcast, The Keys, join my TC community, and check out the TC Ready tier because that's where this replay is going to live. And simply just reach out, say hi, because that's the whole process of getting comfortable when it comes to marketing and selling yourself. So I didn't want to come on and do this live. I was in the middle of doing a transaction when I realized I have to go live. And I was ready to cancel it because I was starting to have those negative thoughts, that negative spiral of like, well, no one ever shows up to these lives. They don't drop comments. I don't know. I don't even know who I'm talking to. And then I'll let the replay live for a week, and all of a sudden, a bunch of people have watched, and they reach out to me. So your desired outcome may not be instant, but if you just plant the seed and allow it to grow, what you're looking for, what you need, will eventually find you. And those that don't need your services, or you don't need their services, or you may not meet in life, whatever the case may be, you let it fall to the wayside. You let it go and you keep moving on. So, with all that said, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to leave this live stream up for about a week, and then you'll find it on my TC community, which is hosted on Patreon. And if you want to join and become a TC Ready member, it's only $7. I'm not going to change the price until we hit the um, max amount of members we can have in there, which is 12 right now. So check it out and you get your own calendar to work with me. I'm actually going to start putting on more evening times for those that join the Ready, TC Ready tier. And yeah, adding more evening times and possibly, most likely, at least for a month, a few availabilities, a couple of availabilities on the weekend, because I know a lot of people that want to learn about this career have 9 to 5s, or maybe you're a stay-at-home parent and daytime is just tough and evenings are already accounted for dinner, um, mindless scrolling and just relaxing. So I understand. So I'm going to add some weekend times, but you have to be a TC Ready member within my platform to access that. Otherwise, do check out my other availabilities, transactioncare.com. Schedule a discovery call. You can get in a little bit of time. It's better than nothing. And I guarantee you will be off to the races in whatever race you're, what's it, loud motorcycle driving down the street. But exactly, just like that motorcycle, loud and proud. You'll be on your way and eager and inspired to start your journey. And like I said, don't allow the, starting, the pressure of starting to equal getting paid. You're either in the process of pivoting, pausing, or pursuing it. Take your time. This is your journey. It's your world. I'm just here to be a resource, answer any questions you have, and hopefully leave you more inspired and uplifted and encouraged along the way. So, thank you again for watching. My name is Lillian Hernandez, and I also have my own personal website, lillianhernandez.com. I'm going to be updating that very soon to focus more on general coaching, one-on-one, just making impactful change in our lives through confidence, career, and just the choices that we make. So look out for lillianhernandez.com. And in the meantime, visit transactioncare.com. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. And I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here for the last 30 minutes. I appreciate you. And put yourself out there. Start getting your reps in, start building up your courage, and identify those areas where you're having negative or limited thinking. And if you're someone pursuing a career in real estate, start thinking about who's in your network of people that you already know in there, and g- maybe do like a mini like non-aired podcast in your head and interview them. See what they say. See, how did they get started? What was the junk that they went through? And that could save you time. And then you pursue it from there. And I highly recommend, if you're taking real estate serious, that getting your real estate license is the very first thing you pursue. So if you have any questions, I'm here. Reach out. Glad to help. TC@transactioncare.com. And until the next one, new videos every week, short clips of said video in bite sizes, so it's not too overwhelming if you don't have time to sit down for a 15, 20-minute, 30-minute video. Don't worry. You can always save it, bookmark it, add it to a playlist, watch it later. But I'm also posting shorts. And we're almost at 1,600 subscribers as of today, July 15th, 2025. So I'm saying that now, so in case we end up hitting 2,000 overnight, hey, I'm open to it. But thank you again for watching, tuning in, and listening. My name is Lillian Hernandez, and until the next one, care for yourself, care for your wealth. Your time is worth it. Talk soon.